All right, cool. So, can you, let me spotlight this real quick. Boom. And boom. Okay, cool. So can you just kind of give everybody like a quick, because we had a couple conversations and I didn't really know what your background was. So can you give everybody like a background of like how long you've been here, what you started with, what you're doing now, and like what changed, and then we'll dive right into it and get into the training.
Cool. Yeah. So I've been here right at 2 years. I started November 6th of 2020. Prior to that, I did photo and video work. I toured with bands for a few years and I never really made any money, but I wasn't trying to make money. I was just trying to have a good time. And that was cool. But when COVID happened, I was pretty much wiped out immediately. I mean, so I was working construction with one of the bands I was working with. He was building a house. So I was helping him. And then I was working at the fresh market, just doing meat and seafood, like trying to make ends meet. And I started going to church again. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, I have a friend that sells insurance." And I was like, "Well, I don't know what that means, but I mean, I'm freaking hurting, so I'm open to it." I didn't know what an underwriter was. So I wrote my first policy November 6th. And first year and a half, I was in the field. I live in Southeast Tennessee. So I was driving hour, 2, 3 hours to my first appointment. And it's 10, 12-hour days. And I just felt like, man, there's got to be a more efficient way to do this. Like I could just feel like there was so much meat left on the bone. And then I was really getting burnt out, especially mentally. And in July, I was like, if everybody else can do telesales, even if there's a learning curve, I would rather take this learning curve than just continue to deplete mentally. And it was actually the easiest transition I could have ever imagined. Like my first day on the phones, I did $5,000. And I was like, wow, I mean, I was just playing Xbox. Like it was crazy. So, that was kind of like the coming on the scene boom. And then I had my sophomore slump, right? It's like my second month wasn't nearly as good. I got my butt kicked. But this job's all about being consistent. And the glory of life insurance sales is that it's not a skills-based job. It's a mindset. Whether you suck or you're good, you're exactly right. I mean, it's just the same word pattern every conversation. So it's not that deep. But yeah, that's how I ended up here, man. I started with $300 in my pocket. And
but whenever we were talking, you were explaining like you were in the field a bunch trying to figure it out, and you were thinking about like kind of quitting almost, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this sucks. Like I have a new like child, and like I'm never home. And then once you transition to telesales, you actually started making like way more money. Like you started being way more profitable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was driving like 8 hours a day, man, wear and tear on my car and everything. And I just felt like because it wasn't getting to where I needed to. So being on the phone, my schedule is very set. I'm in the office 8:30 most days now, and I'm done by 3:30
Every day.
If I give 100% at work, I can give 100% at home.
Uh-huh.
And before I just wasn't able to do that because I can't control whether people are home or not, or whether they buy or not. But I just give you more chances being on the phone. That's the biggest thing for me.
Do you think that like basically anybody could do that? Like just anybody could do it, like in terms of if they're so used to doing in-home and like the structure and the schedule, like how long do you think a regular, like a standard producer would take to do that transition, or even do a hybrid of the two?
Hybrid might be a more comfortable way to do things, but I feel like the easiest way to get better at something is to be uncomfortable, right? So if you're tired of being in the field and you want to do phone sales, don't ease your way into it, because it's like trying to gently get into a cold pool. Just fucking jump. Like, it's the only way to really do it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's way easier, because if the person doesn't want the insurance, they're just going to say, "I'm not interested," and hang up. Or, whatever, they can't afford it. At least I don't have to drive to their house for them to tell me those things. I can spend 5 minutes on the phone call and get it over with.
Okay, so I totally agree with you. I think there's definitely like a good blend between the two, and I think everybody has their own niche. But like I think like the best system probably is the hybrid system, just because you can do both and you can be like super efficient. And I think it also depends on like where you're located, like geographically too. Because you had like a no choice type thing. You're like, I'm not driving 3 hours anymore. Like this is how I have to figure it out, or it's like I gotta find something new.
Yeah.
So can you tell everybody like what your system is now, and then like what you have set up, how it works, and then we'll go into like, you know, how you do your appointments and how you structure everything and how you talk to everybody on the phone, and then objections, and then Q&A.
Yeah. So the system that I use is called Ringy, Ringy, and basically what it is an online CRM. And I only run older internet leads because I think you get more bang for your buck. So especially if you're on work spots, you can get discount codes. You can stock up really easily. So I mean, right now I probably have 700 leads I haven't even uploaded, just because it was 50% off. So me spend what, $1,500 or whatever it is and get 1,000 leads. Why would you not do that? I only have
Right.
to sell one policy. So with Ringy, I usually upload 100 leads Monday through Thursday. And the reason it's so effective is because it sends out an automatic text as soon as I upload it. Say, hey, Calvin, this is Brian from the X County Benefits Office. Please give me a call back. If they don't call or text me that day that I upload them, it'll send them a drip text message for a total of 5 days. So eventually, my thought process, they're like, why does this guy keep texting me? Like, why is he not calling me? Well, because I'm busy. You call me. And then if they don't call me, usually about 4 days after I upload them, I'll get to that lead when I call. And when I call, I run through each lead once. I'll just ring them once, leave a voicemail, on to the next one. Because not everybody checks text, not everybody checks voicemails, everybody checks at least one of the two. So Ringy's just takes a lot of the workload off of your shoulders because it does all the hard work for you. You know, if you haven't seen it, you can take calls through the browser. So I wear a headset most days, or you can do it to your direct phone number or the Ringy app on your phone. That's the system I'm using, and that's why it's so effective, is because I don't have to do anything besides run through and dial once.
And the cost isn't that it's not that expensive, right?
It's $100 a month. If you're not signed up, reach out to me because I get $20 if you get signed up. And then I can sync all my settings with yours to make sure that your page is the exact same as mine. So all you have to do is upload your leads and you're ready to go. If you're on Capital and you sign up, message me as well, because I have the A2P passcode, which is basically all your telecom compliance, basically saying you're not a telemarketer.
And you can drop the link in the chat too for that.
For Ringy or for the A2P?
Both.
So I have to send the email for the invite, and it goes directly to the email. So if anybody needs me, I'll put my cell phone and my email. Probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay. And then, so you have this automation going out every time you buy leads, you upload them, and then it sends out the same automations for 5 days or whatever. And then you have like a list of people that you need to like reach back out to. And then the people that have inbound calls when you're working from like 9 to 3 or whatever, like 5-6 days a week or whatever that looks like.
Exactly.
And like on average, how many do you think you're closing a day throughout that period?
If I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I should close 3 to 4 sales a day.
5 days a week?
Yeah, my average sale is maybe $700. Like, I'm not slinging big AP, but I'm also not, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go at it with a servant's heart, you know, trying to find what they need. And if the AP works out in my favor, either way, the AP works out in my favor, so I'm still getting paid. But
Gotcha. And then, so like, okay, for example, I'm a client and I get your text and I text back and I say, I'm interested. What happens next? Like, you call me?
Yeah, so my text would just say either hey Calvin, this is Brian from the county benefits office, give me a call back. Or my next text would say, Calvin, I haven't heard from you, please give me a call back. Just very vague things. So if they text me and say, what is this about? Or who is this? That one really gets me because my text says who I am and where I'm from. So I just keep a text copied that says, this is an outbound number only. If you received the text, please call the number you were texted from. So anytime somebody texts me that, I'll just paste that into the text message. So they'll call. And then, you know, if you call and you're like, what is this about? I'll just say, oh, hey, Calvin, give me just a second. And act like I'm pulling up your file, even though it's right there. And I would say, okay, Mr. Wright, real quick, you know, my name is Brian. I'm from the Hamilton County Benefits Office. I was just trying to get in touch with you real quick. We had a request come in a few weeks back with your name on it. We've just been really behind trying to get back in touch with everyone about this information on the life insurance. I'm not a telemarketer. I work for the great state of Tennessee. My job is just to run through some information with you. You got about 5 minutes we can take to go ahead and get this knocked out?
Yeah,
Perfect. And Calvin, do you have any type of life insurance now?
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Usually it will tell me that, so I like to ask it first. Now, who did you get it through and when?
I got it with Lincoln Heritage.
Okay. And did you get that policy over the phone or did somebody come out to you?
I just called in.
Okay, gotcha. So do you know anything about Lincoln Heritage? Do you know how guaranteed insurance works?
No, I just thought I had insurance.
Yeah, well, you definitely do, but it's probably not the best thing for you. So guaranteed insurance means that you're put on a standard 2-year waiting period. Most times those policies expire at 80 or 85. When you bought that policy, did they happen to tell you that?
No, they just said I had $10,000 of insurance and I pay $55 a month.
Yeah, so that's usually how it works. Sometimes they can be kind of sneaky. So basically, my job is just to make sure everybody in the county is in the best possible place. So only reason you should really be with a company like that is if you have some pretty serious health issues. Let's say on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 is terrible, 5 is great. Where would you rate your health?
I just took the standard stuff and a little bit of diabetes, so probably like a 5, like a 6, 5, 6, somewhere around there.
Okay. And with your diabetes, are you taking oral medication or insulin?
Metformin.
Metformin. Okay, cool. Now, are you a smoker or anything?
No, I don't smoke.
Perfect. Okay. Now, what's your monthly income look like?
$985 a month.
985. Perfect. Calvin, when you get that, is it direct deposit or direct express?
What's Direct Express?
Direct express is that little green card. If you don't have a bank account, most of the time they'll give you a little green MasterCard, and that's where they'll put your monthly check.
Oh, no, I have my own bank.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so the way this works is, like I said, I'm a broker and underwriter for the state of Tennessee. So I'm just going to ask you a few quick questions. We're going to see what our best option is. And if it makes sense, great. We'll see what we can do. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to twist your arm about it. Does that sound fair?
How long is this going to take?
5, maybe 10 minutes. I'll get you off the phone. It's not going to take us very long at all.
Okay. Do I have to pay for anything?
No, actually you don't. So I usually post the payment out to the 1st or 3rd of the month, just because I know you're working on a tight budget. That'll give us some time to get a policy in the mail before any money is ever drafted out. So any corrections, anything that needs to be fixed, or if you just don't like it, you can call me before then, just to give you some peace of mind.
Okay.
So, all right. Now the first option we're going to look at, we'll back up. Calvin, are you going to be cremated or buried?
Buried.
Buried. Okay. Now, are you trying to leave any money behind or just cover the burial?
If I could, probably.
Okay, gotcha. So average burial these days is about $13,000. If you want to account for inflation or try to leave a few dollars behind, let's go for about 15 grand. Okay, so my number one goal here is to make sure we have day one insurance as opposed to that 2-year waiting period you're on now. So with my policy, as soon as you make this premium, something happens, it's going to pay out. If you get in an accident, this 10,000 is going to turn to 20,000. And this accident doesn't have to be something like a plane or train crash, which is never going to happen. It could be something as simple as you slipping and hitting your noggin in the shower. Okay. And so, all right. Now, the first option would be a company called Americo. The reason we look at them is because of the double accidental and the living benefits. Second option is going to be Aetna. The reason we look at them is because it's a few dollars cheaper. Now, you might like Aetna just because they're local. They're in Nashville and we're in East Tennessee. People like that stuff. So, let's say this 10,000, you're paying $55 a month for now. If you wanted the benefits, we could get it for about the same price. It's going to be 58. If you didn't like the benefits, it'd be 52. But the main thing here is making sure you have day one coverage rather than the waiting period you're on now, right? So do you like the idea of the benefits or would you rather not have them?
The difference is like a couple bucks.
Yeah, it's about $5. Personally, I feel like the benefits are worth it, but I'm not the one paying for it.
Yeah, I think the benefits are probably worth it for $5 extra.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so I just like to give you a couple options so you feel like I'm not trying to push something particular on you. So let's just run through a quick eligibility check and make sure we can get you approved to begin with. If we can, great, we got something to think about, okay?
Okay.
And then I just go and answer all the questions in the application.
Okay. Now, a couple of things I want to ask you about. I didn't hear you confirm like any of their information, like their birthday, address, nothing like that. None of that stuff's important until you get into the application.
I just want to make sure that they're on board with me first. And then
Okay.
as soon as I start the application, real quick, Calvin, I'm gonna verify a few things with you. I got your birth date, address, email address, blah, blah, blah. Does all that sound correct? Great.
Right. So what, like, before you, so you're like, kind of like explaining what they have, if they can tell you over the phone, and then you're giving them a quote, and then you're trying to get them like, can you explain that a little better? Like, are you just like using the information you have from the lead they filled out, like to get the quote?
Yeah, my presentation can go a few different ways. It just kind of depends on how the conversation flows. So
Yeah.
I'm not very transactional when I'm on the phone. I'm very ebb and flow. So I'm gonna bring the conversation back to where it needs to be. But if we veer off for a minute and start talking about whatever, that's okay. Because I want them to be comfortable and gain some trust with me.
Mhm.
But depending on how the conversation goes, I may verify the info at first. I may verify it right before I start the application. But either way, I'm just gonna be like, hey, I just want to make sure I got all this right. Sometimes I get mixed up birthdays.
Okay.
Just simple and easy.
Okay. So then you confirm the birthday, then you give the quote, and then you're like, yeah. And then what? Okay. So like, for example, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, for like, I mean, what if I'm like, well, I don't know if it's actually 2-year waiting period or something like that. What do you say?
I would just say, okay, well, you said you're with Lincoln Heritage, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you may not be, but 9 out of 10 policies with that company are on a 2-year waiting period. So if it would work better, when you get back to the house and can get the policy out, I can tell you where to look and what to read, and we can make sure. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be graded.
Mm-hmm. And then you're going, and then like, so what happens if it goes graded for the other products that you're getting them in? It's almost the same price. How are you selling yourself there?
So truthfully, I'm going to put them first. Like sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I'm a true believer in karma. And if somebody's been on a waiting period for a year and I'm only going to be able to give them the same price or maybe $2 or $3 a month cheaper, it's not in their best interest. And it a lot of times I'll just let those go, truthfully. But if it's a bigger premium, I may try to work around, try to say, well, the difference between using me and someone like Lincoln Heritage is that, I'm from here in Chattanooga. I know you're right up the road. So the difference between using me and them is that when you pass away, the last thing your kids are going to know how to do or want to do is get paid for when their mom dies, right? So they're going to call me. I'm going to drive up to Knoxville. I'm going to sit with them and I'm going to show them how to get this money as easily as possible. Okay. So it's more so peace comes out of premium. You've got some comfort of knowing you're working with someone local that is not Joe Schmo from Kansas. There aren't going to be no hoops and hurdles when you pass away. You're going to have my contact saved and all they have to do is call me.
Gotcha. Also like Prosperity has a 30 and Great Western has like a 30/70 graded. So that, you can also use that to leverage yourself, right? Because 30% first year, 70% second year, and that's still better than 110% return on premium.
Totally.
Gotcha.
Cool. A lot of people, I pretty much work local. And that's one of my bigger selling points is that if I'm running in the county I live in, hey, Calvin, I'm actually from Chattanooga myself. I live behind the Arby's on Brainerd Road. You probably know where that is. And something as specific as that gives people shows a lot of credibility on my end.
Gotcha. So you just like try to build up rapport and like the fact that you live local and that you can be there in an instant to take care of them if they need it.
Yeah. And I tell them, hey, I'm not going to twist your arm about this. If it makes sense for your health and for your budget, and I agree, we'll see what we can get you approved for.
Okay.
But I have all the quotes I tell you, I've got no idea if you're approved for it until we send in the application.
So that's me calling in. That's like a pretty generic client calling in to talk to you about insurance type deal, right? Okay. What about because I know you're not just sitting there, you're waiting for calls. Like you're also calling. So like what happens when you're calling somebody? What's the difference in that conversation?
Basically the same thing. The difference would be, I would just say, hey, Calvin.
Hey,
Mr. Wright, this is Brian Holden over here from the Hamilton County Benefits Office. I was just getting in touch with you real quick. A few weeks back, we had a request come in with your name on it. We've just been really behind trying to get back in touch with everybody about this information on the life insurance. I'm not a telemarketer. I work for the state of Tennessee, same thing. But I'll say, a few weeks ago, we had a request in. We've just been really behind. because I only run older leads. And so
Mhm.
when I say those two things, they're like, okay, well, they must be busy. People like working with people who are busy.
Okay.
I
And,
approach it the same way either way.
and you still get the same hangups as everybody else. I mean, it's probably no different. Someone still hangs up the
Probably
same.
get hung up more than other people because I talk to more people.
Gotcha. And then basically you're just trying to find like the 10% that want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to somebody about that earlier. I was saying, when I upload 100 leads in the morning, when I first started this, I wanted to sell all 100 leads. That's not, it doesn't even make any sense. It's like batting 10,000%. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Like, out of the 100 leads, I need to find one sale. If I can find one sale, maybe if I can find two sales, well, hell, I'm selling one policy every 50 leads. Let's just keep bringing that number down a little bit more. And there's this Chinese proverb that says like a ladder with many rungs is easier to climb or something like that. So
Mhm.
when you have more stairs, you can go faster rather than trying to have to reach super far for the next one, right? It's just about getting momentum going and getting more presentations, because you're gonna mess it up. People are gonna tell you no, can't afford it, whatever. That's why you just gotta talk to more people. And that's the beauty of ringing. But do you want to do a few objections?
Yeah. I also had a couple questions for you about, like a couple more questions about your setup. So like application wise, carrier wise, you kind of have like a handful of ones that you use to keep it easy for the client so that they're not trying to dig through their email when they're like 75 years old. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Can you tell everybody about like the carriers you use and why?
So Americo first and foremost, mainly just because they pay the fastest and because of the benefits. As far as accessibility, like easiest signature options, Aetna is by far the easiest, at least from my opinion, because it's just a security question. Maiden name, father's middle name, something like that. America's second easiest because it just sends them a 6-digit code to their text messages or
Mhm.
their email, depending on the product. Prosperity and Mutual of Omaha, I hate doing because for some reason people have the hardest time finding those emails.
Okay.
But those are the hardest things for me, man. Typically, if they have a bank account, I'm going Americo or Aetna. If they have a Direct Express card, I'm going Prosperity, Transamerica, or Great Western.
Mhm. Okay. So the same stuff as everybody else. And so like objection wise, I'm gonna start spitting out objections to you. And then you kind of just tell everybody how you handle them. Oh, I don't have time right now.
Okay, that works. What time do you think you'll be back at the house?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, me too, man. I completely understand. Only problem is, Calvin, if we can't spend 5 or 10 minutes now or 5 or 10 minutes, a few hours when you get back home, I'm just gonna have to keep calling. I'm sure you don't want me to do that. And so I'm not gonna just bait and switch you and keep you on here for an hour. You think we can just go ahead and get it knocked out and I can get you off here?
And then what usually happens from that?
Yeah. Well, if they're like, I'll be like, okay, do you have any type of life insurance now? I'm just gonna try to finesse my way into the conversation.
Okay.
Because if I can, the number one goal is to keep them on the phone, right? So if they're
Mhm.
like, well, I don't have time right now, I'm not going to try to force them to do it. Hey, that's fine. What time do you think you'll be back at the house? If
Mhm.
they don't know, well, I mean, you tell me, Calvin, I'm here to try to assist you. This is going to take us 5 or 10 minutes. So I can quit calling you. So you want to go ahead and get it done, or you want me to call you back this evening?
Call me back this evening.
Okay, what time works best for you?
After 6.
After 6? Okay, so I'll call you about 6:15, try to give you a few extra minutes. Please pick up the phone. If you don't pick up the phone, I'm gonna have to call you first thing tomorrow at 7:30 when I get to the office. I'm sure you don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Quit calling me.
Okay, well, yeah, let's get this done and I'll quit calling you, man.
Okay.
And
And
then, I mean, at that point, whether I make the sale or not, like if I can keep them on the phone, I'll try to say a few jokes or something, try to lighten up the conversation.
okay. What about I don't know where or ask me for the bank info.
Okay, so that's a good one. All right, okay, Kevin, what's the name of the bank that you use?
Um Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo. Okay, was that account opened here in Texas?
Um yeah, I think so.
Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to Google Wells Fargo Texas routing number.
Mhm.
Say, okay, Calvin, I have the routing number for the Wells Fargo in Texas already on file. Only thing I need from you is the account number. Whenever you get it ready, let me know and we'll get this wrapped up.
I don't know where to find it.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any blank checks, Typically on a bank statement. Do you have any bank statements at your house?
I took out the trash the other day. I think I threw them all away.
Yeah, I do the same thing. All right, do you have the bank app on your phone?
I'm gonna make this one hard for you. No, I don't.
Okay. So the easiest way for us to do it then is I can't call the bank and ask for your account number. They would put me in jail, and that doesn't sound like any fun. So the easiest thing for us to do is I'm going to give you the number for Wells Fargo. We can either do it on a 3-way call. I can dial and mute myself and you can talk to them and I'll just write it down. Or I can give you the number you can call and I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Which option would you rather do?
I'll call you back in 5 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. If I don't hear from you in 5 minutes, I'm going to call you back. If I still can't get in touch with you, I'm just going to keep calling you throughout the day to make sure we can get this wrapped up. Okay.
How
And-
often does that happen?
Not very often, but the thing is, I've also found is if you have to try to force them to do it, they're just going to cancel.
Gotcha.
So, and that's at least in my experience. I mean, it may be different for you or the next guy, but for me, like if I have to try to force them to give the account number, eventually they're just going to say, hey, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to hold off for a little while. So I try to be a little pushy, but I don't want to be really pushy to where it's distasteful.
Okay. What about yeah, I have a voided check.
You have a void check?
I have a blank check.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I have the routing number correct. It's blah, 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 correct?
Yep.
Okay. Like I said, last thing I need from you is the account number. I can send this in, make sure we get approved. So whenever you're ready, let me know.
Which one's the account number?
So the first set of numbers is the routing number. It's these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should see a semicolon, like 2 little dots. It's a number after those. There's typically 3 or 4 zeros if it's a bigger bank. You see those numbers?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And there should be one more semicolon. The numbers after those are the check number. I don't need those. I just need the middle set.
Gotcha. I think Henry said that too. He's like, hey, make them get a blank check out and you're gonna read the first set of numbers and then they're gonna read the second set of numbers.
Yeah.
That's pretty smooth, right?
I mean,
Okay.
that was a hack for me to figure out to Google the bank's routing number. It makes you look so legit.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I do that in the home still. And then what about, well, I think I'm just gonna wait. I'm not really ready yet.
Okay, that's fine. I completely understand. You've been thinking about it for about a month or two. That's why, it's taken me so long to get in touch with you because we've just been really behind. Now, I know that you want to think about it a little bit more. So does the insurance company. Like I told you at the beginning, the prices that I've told you are all contingent upon our approval. So as much as I want you to take your time to think about it, I don't want you to take your time to think about it, talk to your kids and spouse, call me and say, yeah, let's do it. And then you get denied because that's going to make me look like I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not leading you in the right way. So,
Okay.
like I said, we've got the payment pushed out to the 3rd. Today's the 19th. Basically, all I want to do is submit the application to make sure we can get approved. So we actually have something to think about. Okay. Now, this 10,000 at 65, if that's a bit too high, let's just do the 8,000 at 50. And then if we want to raise it or lower it moving forward, that's fine. I just want to make sure you get approved and have something to think about.
It just seems like a lot of money for a little bit of insurance.
Yeah, fortunately, that's just because of our prescription history. When people think of life insurance, they think of hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they don't think about how much it usually costs. And most of the time when you see those, that's for people who are younger, who are healthy. You're Calvin, respectably, you're 63, you're a smoker, you've got a few things going on, and that's just not what falls within our capabilities, sir. So, if this doesn't make sense, then I completely understand. But this $60 a month is going to be a lot cheaper than your daughter who has 3 kids to try to fork up 15 grand to bury you.
Okay, what about man, I had a good one for you. What about well, I'm just not really ready and I'm not sure if that's the beneficiary I want to choose.
Okay, well, we can change the beneficiary whenever. I'm a phone call away. If you decide you hate your husband, you want to go to your new boyfriend, just give me a call. We'll get it set up. Simple as that, okay? But like I said, I know it's Christmas season. I'm not taking any money from you. I know you got stuff going on. Got it pushed out. If you decide to wait till the 1st of the year, insurance rates are set to rise on the 1st. So I don't want our price to go up even more than it already has.
What about I just want to shop around a bit.
Cool, that's where I come in. So exactly what do you think you're shopping for?
I just think that I might be able to get it cheaper somewhere different.
Okay, people usually think that, and you probably could get it a few bucks cheaper somewhere else. But like I said, piece comes at a premium, Calvin. So this $65 for this 10 grand, you could probably get it for 55 or 50 somewhere else, but you're gonna be on a 2-year waiting period. Doesn't make any sense to pay 50 bucks for something that's not gonna pay out if you die today. I don't know about you. I'd rather pay the extra 15 bucks to know if I get in an accident, my family's actually gonna get $20,000 instead of the $600 I may pay in over a few months.
Hmm. What about, I think I'm hitting most of the big ones, I imagine. What's
do
another big one? What's like the most common one you get?
Social security number.
Social security. Okay, yeah, I don't feel comfortable giving my social security number over the phone.
Okay, cool. So kind of leading up to that with Americo app, their social is the last question I'm gonna ask. So if you ask their social right after their name and their height, they're not gonna give it to you, right? I mean, they may, but for me, it's just not how it works. So I'm gonna answer every question first. I'm gonna say, Calvin, this number we're talking on, is it a cell phone?
Yes, it is.
Right. Do you know how to check your text while you're on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So here in a second, you're gonna get a text message from me. There'll actually be two that comes in. There's a long text and a short text. The short text has a 6-digit code. You're gonna read back to me. That's just giving me authorization to run your prescription history and tell the insurance company you and I are actually talking to each other and no one's trying to do any funny business in your name, okay? Perfect. And what's your social? So the reason I ask it like that is because I've already built credibility with the text message coming in. And if you're old, you're already starting to worry about, oh shit, I got to find a text message. I hit you with the social security question on the blind side. It's not a big deal.
I almost gave it to you.
Exactly.
That's pretty smooth. I also think that I also like to ask like where they're, hey, are you born and raised here in Tennessee or Texas or whatever? Great. Okay, great. What's your height and weight? And like all that kind of stuff. And then I flow into it like when I'm in the home, obviously I flow in it that way, but I don't know how it works with the phone. So that's pretty smooth. I like that with the,
Yeah,
what's the long text?
long text is just like, it gives you a link to the authorization form. So like read the HIPAA disclosure.
Okay.
So
you,
hey, it's gonna come from
that stuff, mentally prepare them that they're about to get a message. And then right before they get the message, you ask for the social so you can punch it in there and click send.
Yep. So the social is the third question. The cell phone number is the last. I'll fill in everything but the social. Calvin, you know how to check your text. Great. You're going to get a text message. Boom. What's your social? So like I said, they're already trying to worry about, they're trying to find a text message. And when you ask the social, it doesn't seem like such a big deal because it's like, oh yeah, what is your social? Just like, I forgot. Let's keep it moving.
Gotcha.
Along.
Okay. So you think the social is harder to get than the bank information when you're doing a telesale?
Yeah, because it's first.
Wow.
And so if they give me any back talk, any rebuttals, I'm just gonna be like, hey, I know you don't know me from Adam. If it makes you feel better, I'm gonna go ahead and text you over a picture of my insurance license and a picture of me and my family, just so you know exactly who you're speaking with. I send them the Christmas card photo, it's over with. Sale every time.
Really?
Dude, I'm telling you, a picture of you and your family, instead of it just being a professional headshot, they're like, okay, yeah, this guy sells insurance. A Christmas card that's so personable, especially when it's got my little girl in it, dude, people eat that shit up.
Do you send out like a card after you make the sale?
Yeah, so Ringy actually has, if I mark it as sold 2 weeks after I sell them, it'll send them an automatic text. Hey, Calvin, this is Brian of Family First Life. Just making sure you got all your policy documents in the mail. If you have any referrals, it'd be much appreciated with a smiley face.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to do anything. It automatically sends it.
Do you send them a card though, like as well, or no? Just a text?
I'll send them a text, my insurance license, a picture of us, and then I'll send a second text, company name, policy number, premium, coverage amount, and when it's due. And I'm gonna send you a second text with all your policy info so you have some sort of verification until your policy gets there in about 10 to 14 days.
Cool. And since you already have the texting drip set up, it's like they're already used to getting texts. So it's like just making it, you already know that they're going to get it because they already replied to your other texts. It's not like you sold somebody that you had to call with the phone because they never checked their text. It's like legit coming from text.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. I think we should open up for some Q&A for some people. I'm sure that everybody got a bunch of questions for you with your system and everything you got. So if you got a question regarding objections or Brian's process, just unmute yourself and hit him with the question.
Hey, Brian, this is Mark. How are you?
Doing well, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. I was curious. You had mentioned selling local, pretty much being a big factor of what you lean on. I'm just around the corner, down the street. What's the lead flow as far as volume goes if you're only holding to a certain geography on a local basis? Do you just act like you're every county in the state, or?
No, so if you're familiar with where Chattanooga, Tennessee is,
Yeah.
I'm 10 minutes from Georgia, 10 minutes from Alabama, an hour from North and South Carolina. So I'm
Okay.
I'm in a pretty centralized spot. So like Memphis is as foreign to me as Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying? Way different world. So I think appealing to your demographic is a huge advantage. So
Okay.
country people, good old folk, that's my demographic. I do well with old people.
Yeah.
And wherever whenever there's discounts, I'm gonna try to buy whenever or wherever my centralized location is. Doesn't really matter. With Ringy, you can have up to 5 phone numbers.
Yeah.
So, you can move around wherever. If you don't like it, just delete your number and get a new one. But
Okay.
does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. So essentially the mindset's like at the end of the day, all roads are connected. So you're down the road anywhere, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm local, about an hour from you, whatever. But if I stock up on leads, man. Like I said, I probably have 700-800 leads I haven't even uploaded just because of the discounts. If the lead's already 3 months old, it doesn't make a difference if I call them 2 weeks later.
Mhm.
It's already 3 months old.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. And just to finish up, I do want to echo what Brian's talking about with Ringy. It is a very easy solution to start using. I've tried probably 4 or 5 CRMs and they never deliver. Ringy has been awesome showing up. So I definitely suggest doing it. But thank you for answering the question. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And what we're using how did you find Ringy? Or did you create all your own cut? Could you tell everybody a little bit more about how whenever you get signed up, how easy it is for you to give them all the tools? It's not like you have to and you already made a video how to do it too, right?
Yeah. So if you need help with Ringy, reach out to me. But the beauty of it is if I send you an invite link, I can click the boxes and pretty much all of what I have set up and what I'm doing will transfer to you immediately. After that, we'll do a sync account, which takes 2 seconds, and the rest of my settings will be synced with you. So all you have to do is buy a phone number and upload your leads, and you're rocking and rolling.
But to be clear, the biggest difference between phone burner and Ringy is the power dialer part, right?
Absolutely. Now, Mark, what you said is true, but also not true. So if you get signed up and they sync you up with FFL's Ringy, that is not Brian Holden's Ringy. You have 8,000 options. It's way overcomplicated and this is way too much. Don't do that. If you can call Ringy and say, hey, I want to clear my account and get synced up with Brian Holden's. Mine, I'm not talking trash about the FFL one. It's just way too overcomplicated, way too many options. Mine's very black and white, ABC 1, 2, 3.
And we got a couple other questions here. I don't know if you already answered this one, but how many leads are you using at a time? You're just buying whatever you can out of the CRM off of discounted ILC leads, right?
Yeah, so I only buy the 1 and 3 month old internet leads. With Ringy, you can keep track of them, so you can disposition them as not interested, bad number, can't afford, sold, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's how I keep up with them. I think that's answering Vicky's question. Okay. Yeah, so with each lead, you can click on it and it will show you all your activity log with that client. Any calls you've made, any texts you've made, anything like that.
And you can also track if you get duplicate leads probably too. You can find if you accidentally get a couple duplicate leads that you can get those replaced too, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
But they're so discounted, I usually don't even worry about it. You just keep rolling.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't even matter when you're paying $1 a lead. It's hey, I just need as many as I can get so I can talk to 10 people.
Exactly.
Cool. And then hey Dion, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it was great, y'all. Thank y'all for this first and foremost. I wanted to ask, so when you are can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when you are making the calls and you come across, certain leads that Well, when you come across the leads, are you not doing a financial pull at all? Because I didn't really hear much of that. It's like you were straight to the point. You didn't really ask about the finances.
Yeah, so I'll ask their monthly income, and then
That's about it.
I'll ask whether it's direct deposit or direct express. So
So you don't care about the how much, you're not trying to figure out where all the money is going allocated, having a big financial pool. You're just like, how much money do you make monthly? And then where's your account?
yeah, I mean, I could dig a little bit deeper, but where I live in particular is the most unhealthy, poor place in the whole country.
Yeah, I got you, Chattanooga.
know people here don't really have 401ks or annuities. They got Mountain Dew and cigarettes. And that's why I asked for monthly income, because I can pretty much guarantee they're making less than $1,000 a month. And if they're like, well, I can't, if I call them like, I'm not interested, that's for one of two reasons. Either you don't understand it or it's too expensive. If it's too expensive, I'm going to say, hey, Dion, I specialize in helping low income families. Are you making about 1,000 or less a month? Great. Now, when you get, is it direct deposit, direct express? Because instead of me going through the whole Americo application for them to only have a debit card and me wasting 20 minutes of my time selling them on Americo, now I got to pivot to Prosperity and do the whole damn thing again. So
Okay.
if you ask it at the first, it's like, you got to think about it as a highway, and you're answering questions so you know which way to go and which way not to go as you're asking.
Okay, appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So like what happens whenever are you using the 10% rule? Like, hey, I have this person makes $1,000. I'm not going to quote them over $100 a month.
I try to, I'll typically ask them, try to get them to sell me on what they think they need. Well, I need enough for burial, leave a few dollars behind. Okay, well, I'm going to recommend about 15 to 20,000. The max we can go is 40. I'll show you the price for 40 because, it may fit within your budget. I'm not sure how your finances work, but if it doesn't work, we'll just pivot down to this 10, 15 to make sure we have something that's going to comfortably fit within budget.
Cool. I think Casey has a question too.
Okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
You were saying with your leads, you do the 1 month and the 3 month. And I believe you in the beginning, you said Monday through Friday. So are you doing 100 every single day of the week?
Yeah. Usually probably about after 2 to 3 weeks of doing that, I won't upload leads for maybe 3 days of that week because I will have so many leads I haven't called. So I'm a cheap ass. I've got 400 leads in my ringy I haven't called. Even though I paid $1 for them, dude, if I call them, I can make who knows how big of a sale off of it. But I have to make sure every stone is turned. I can't just have a bunch of uncalled leads because you're not getting all the meat off the bone.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
How many times do you think you contact somebody before you get a hold of them on average?
Truthfully, it's a hard question for me to answer because all I do is send out the text and then I'll call them once and I'm just keep it moving.
The reason I asked is because I was going through my phone burner and like recycling old leads that I never got a hold of. And there's people that I think it took me 80 times to call them before I booked an appointment. So I was just wondering like if it was the same sometime because I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it's different for everybody, but having a local phone number really helps. And so Mark, I'm spending about 4,000 a month on leads. So like I said, I usually stock up when there's discounts.
Mm-hmm. And also with the phone number deal, you can register the phone number so that way when you make high call volumes, it's not automatically going to spam, right?
Yeah.
You do that too, right?
That's what the A2P thing is making sure that you don't get flagged as spam.
Right. And that's whenever you have a bid. Can you explain that a little bit for everybody so that doesn't understand that?
Yeah, so telecom compliance is basically just telling T-Mobile, Sprint, whoever that you're not mass texting saying, hey, can I come mow your yard for $10? Like it's acknowledging that you're a legitimate business and that you're not trying to solicit over text messages. So there's not a link for the A2P code. Is everybody on here on Capital?
Yeah, it's only been posted on Capital.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're not within Capital, or if anybody on here is not within Capital, I can't share our A2P code. Just out of because we can only have X amount of spots within the LLC. So if you're on Capital, send me a message and then I can send it to you.
Right. And then there's also a couple other websites you can use too, if you're not in Capital or if you're using a different service, where you can go and register your phone numbers. I think it's through Orion and Call Transparency and a couple other websites. You can just go on Google and say how to register my phone number. And you can take whatever phone numbers you buy and you can register them. It takes like 24 to 48 hours, and then it will go into the system, and then you can make high call volumes and it won't automatically get knocked up as spam.
Yeah.
FYI.
And yes, Holly.
Okay. Cool. Well, if nobody else, does anybody else have any questions before we wrap this up? If not, forever hold your peace.
I have a question.
Okay.
Brian,
What
you're
up?
awesome. What's happening, guys?
Yeah, man.
Hey, dude. I don't know if you've already touched on this, but I think it's something cool to mention. So when you first import your leads and you send the initial text, what percentage of people are usually calling you back right away? And then what percentage of people are calling you back on the second, third, fourth, or fifth drip? I'm not sure if you've already touched on that or not.
That's a really good question. I may be able to answer that. I may not. When I upload my leads, I can pretty much guarantee probably 10 to 15 phone calls within 20 minutes. That may differentiate depending on the day, because this stuff fluctuates. Like if it's rainy and shitty outside, people are not going to want to talk to you. That's just the way that it is. I mean, it's like waiting tables. If you've ever waited tables, if it rains outside, you're not going to make any money. And same kind of thing with this I've found is that we work with old people. If it's rainy and cold outside, their bones probably hurt and they're probably not in good mood. Right? So just like little things like that, but I'm going to try to find my percentages, Jared, so I can tell you. I think I don't know where to look to find them. I would say about 15 people call me immediately. And then I would say out of those 100 leads by the end of day 5 through my text messages alone, probably 30 to 35 of them on the high end will call or text me. And that's before I even have to call them.
That's awesome.
That's wild. 10, 15 people call within the first 20 minutes.
Dude, it's wild. I mean, if you've never done it, it is exhilarating. It'll really give you some adrenaline.
Do you think people could use that same strategy to book appointments locally?
There's no reason why you couldn't. I mean, and then if somebody calls you and you're in the car, well, hell yeah, I'm 10 minutes down the road. I'm going to shoot over there right now.
I like
And
that.
If you have the Ringy app on your phone, it'll show the Ringy icon and then say the client's name. So you'll know who you're talking to. You can pull up all the leads info on the phone app as well.
Cool. Anybody else got anything else?
No, I put a link down there in the chat for anybody that wants to get on Call to Close. That's the Zoom dials, me and Jared and on a few other people. Houston's on there sometimes, that we are constantly dialing on. I mean, if you need to get better at phone sales, get on there. And it's the easiest way to get better is to fuck it up and to ask questions.
Fact. That's a fact. Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I don't want to take too much of your day up. I know you got some stuff to do. Thanks for pouring into everybody. And if there's anything else you want to leave with anybody, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. All my info is at the top. My phone number, my email. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. If you need to watch the Ringy training video, hit me up. I'll send it to you. But yeah, I mean, any way I can help anybody, I'm more than happy to do. So there's no reason in me figuring out something that works well if we don't share it with other people. And it's not a competition. We can all win at this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you and hope everybody has a good day.
Yeah. Thanks, Calvin. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.